In this video, I'm going to share 10 things that I didn't think about when I first started hiking. Some of it might seem like common sense, but a lot of it I had to learn the hard way. Tip number 1, choosing a trail. When choosing a trail, start with something close to home and within your skill level. Your first couple hikes are not the time to be testing your limits. Always expect the hike to take longer than recommended. The people writing the trail reviews are typically seasoned hikers and don't always take into account beginners. This will also keep you prepared in case something goes wrong, like you get off track, have an injury, or experience really bad weather. It's also important to note that the trail might not be in the same condition as the last time someone hiked it. A big storm can turn an easy stroll into a full-on parkour challenge. Number 2, packing essentials. When packing for a hike, it will depend greatly on if you're going for a day hike or for an overnight hike. For a day hike, it's important to bring water, around 1 liter per hour, salt and electrolytes, around 1 gram per hour if you're sweating, food, around 400 calories per hour, a phone or GPS. Even if you know the trail, it doesn't hurt to have a communication device, and don't forget an extra charger. A rain jacket. You never know when the weather might change, so it's always important to bring some rain protection. Now for an overnight hike, you will need all that plus a sleep system. You can use a tent, hammock, or a trail hut, or simply sleep under the stars if the weather allows for it. But regardless, you'll want a sleeping bag with an appropriate rating and a sleeping mat. You may also want a small stove to cook or boil water. Some other things that I find useful are plastic bags, wet wipes, first aid kits, pocket knives, headlamps, extra socks, warm clothes for nighttime, and a water filter. If you're going on a multi-day hike, all of this will be the same, but you'll just need more food and more water. Number 3, clothing. It's important to dress in layers when hiking. You'll want to avoid being too cold, and you'll also want to avoid being too hot and getting soaked with sweat. For this reason, I hike with a bunch of layers, so that way I can take off layers if I start sweating and add more if I get too cold. It's always important to have some rain gear on you, in case the weather changes. Finally, even if you're hiking all day in a t-shirt and shorts, it's important to pack some warm clothing for the evening. This will help protect you from the bugs and the cold. I've woken up shivering in 20-degree nights because I spent the whole day hiking in 40-degree heat, and once I stopped moving, my body was still trying to dump as much heat as possible, and that made it really cold. Number 4, hydration and nutrition. Hydration is super important for hiking in order to keep your energy levels high, avoid cramping, and avoid dizziness. But drinking enough water is just half the equation. If you're sweating, your body is also losing salts and electrolytes. It's important to replace these with salty snacks, electrolyte powders, or just simple sea salt. A water filter is a great way to keep yourself hydrated without having to carry a ton of extra water. But don't rely solely on that in case your water source is dry. For nutrition, you'll want to stick with your normal diet and focus on foods that agree with you. When you're out in the wilderness, it's not a great place to test out new foods. You also want to try and focus on lightweight, calorie-dense foods, so that way you're not carrying a ton of extra weight with you. Number 5, navigation. Using a GPS or a downloadable map on your phone is probably the easiest form of navigation, but can be dangerous if you have a malfunction or run out of batteries. A paper map with a compass is a safer option, but definitely requires more skill and practice. When starting out, it's best to hike on a well-marked trail, and if you go a few minutes without seeing a trail marker, then backtrack to where you last saw one. Number 6, leave no trace. Leave no trace basically means to leave the environment the way you found it. Leave only your footprints and take only pictures. Unless you're an expert on these principles, it's best to avoid wild camping and stick to designated camping areas. Number 7, wildlife. Seeing wildlife is one of my favorite parts of camping and hiking. It is important to know what kind of wildlife you'll come across in your area and how to keep yourself safe, and also how to properly store your food. If you're likely to come across bears and other large predators, then you should carry bear spray and not cook anything near your camp so that you don't attract them. And if you're hiking in an area with venomous snakes, then you will want to wear proper protection and know what to do in case of a bite. Number 8, taking breaks. When starting out hiking, it's a good idea to take a break every 45 minutes to an hour. During these breaks, it's important to eat and drink to refuel yourself. When you gain more experience, you'll be able to listen to your body and know when you need to take a break and when you need to hydrate and eat. And you might even be able to do these things on the move. One of the best ways to rest quickly is to lay down and elevate your feet above your heart by placing them on your backpack. If you're really tired, a 15-minute nap in this position will have you feeling great. Number 9, waterproof everything. My biggest takeaway from all my hiking experience is to waterproof absolutely everything that you want to keep dry. I've soaked the contents of my bag from rain, from sweating through my bag, and from a leaking water bottle. So no matter how waterproof your bag is, or how good your rain cover is, it's still worthwhile to waterproof your clothes, your sleeping bag, and anything else you want to keep dry. You can invest in some high quality dry bags, but the easiest way is to just put everything in plastic garbage bags. Number 10, enjoy the journey. Regardless of your reasons for hiking, it's important to have fun along the way. Bring some delicious food, walk at your own pace, and make sure you're comfy and warm if you're camping overnight. People who enjoy walking will always walk further than the people who only enjoy the destination. I hope this information helps you out if you're going on your first hike or your 1000th hike. For more helpful hiking tips, check out our information playlist and tune in next time for another adventure.